Alright, I'm back again with another video, this time something completely different. If you watch my earlier videos, you know that I do mainly like collection stuff, video game collecting videos and that sort of thing, but I thought I'd talk a little bit about one of my favorite games of all time, which is Silent Hill 2 and the remake that they are going to be releasing in early October if it doesn't get delayed. There are a lot of videos online talking about Silent Hill 2 and the remake particularly, but I thought I'd do something a bit different and focus on the Blooper Team, the decision to pick Blooper Team for making this game, and why I'm not really that concerned about them in particular. What I am concerned about, so just to make it clear, I am very negative about the idea of this remake being released because it looks like it probably won't live up to the original game. But I don't think it's on Blooper Team. I think it's more on Konami, and I'm going to explain in detail why that is. So Silent Hill 2, this game needs no introductions. This is the PS2 Director's Cut, which has the extra campaign in it, where you play as one of the female characters in a game, and just an absolute all-time classic and masterpiece, and a game that is just so difficult to remake in a way that would make anyone happy about it. So that's already an uphill battle for anyone tackling this game and trying to remake it for the modern consoles. Now, the first impressions of the Silent Hill 2 remake were pretty bad, and that's unforgivable because you really cannot mess up the first impressions of your video game project. It completely deflates it. So the first marketing materials that we saw of the remake were the reveal trailer, and then shortly after that, or not shortly after that, but it took quite a long while to get anything new, but then they released a gameplay trailer and a new, like a story trailer and so on, and all of this was quite bad, and it was received very badly by the online communities, which, I mean, in general, I don't really care about because people are very much wrong about very, very often very many things. And I keep saying the word very intentionally here. Now, what was bad about the trailers was that they completely messed up the style, the overall atmosphere and feel of Silent Hill, and they made it this very generic American modern horror style that's very tacky and like in your face, with James putting a noose around his neck with this ridiculous like voiceover, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. The gameplay trailers were even worse. There weren't even finished animations in them at some points. There's one part in the first gameplay trailer where the main character is shooting an enemy with a shotgun and then immediately changing to a melee weapon like a steel pipe, and there isn't even a weapon switch animation there. The weapon just warps into his hand. Like you just cannot mess this stuff up if you are Konami. But because you are Konami, you are obviously going to do it. Now, why I'm worried about Silent Hill 2 Remake the most is just Konami and who they are. If you know your history of Konami, you know these games. So in 2012 and the early 2010s, Konami made the exact same mistake that they are making right now with the Silent Hill franchise. So the franchise was gone for a really long time, and then they just started spamming the market with awful releases like these two. And now they are even turbocharging this strategy because they have 5 games that they are going to release, 2 of which have already been released. and 3 more still to go. In the early 2010s, they only released like 3 of these, like these 2 and the Book of Memories game, which I don't have. And these are some of the worst pieces of shit that I own. So especially Silent Hill Downpour. Like, this game is almost unplayable. To be fair, the Xbox 360 version of this runs better, but this game barely holds a consistent 10 FPS. It is so laggy, so buggy. It has game-breaking bugs in it. I think my console hard crashed like 3 times while playing this game. And it's also really badly written, and the gameplay is poor and so on. But, the studio that they hired to make this game, so the big comeback of Silent Hill, was... Is it even named? Do they even have that name here? I guess they don't. They don't even have the name of the company here. It was some shovelware company who made like PS Move games. And they hired those guys to make Silent Hill Downpour. Like, if you compare the hiring of Blooper Team for the Silent Hill 2 remake, I mean, that's 1,000 times better signing. Like, this was made by some completely random group of people. I don't even know who they are. And then this one, which is the HD Classics Collection, has Silent Hill 2 and 3 in it. This was also made by some company who I cannot even remember who they are. Do they have a logo here? No, they don't. So that company doesn't have a logo on the cover either. Yeah, this was also made by some team that I think made maybe PS Move games or mobile games or something. Just a completely random piece of garbage company that can't even make a video game. Konami hired them to make the Silent Hill 2 HD remake, which runs worse than the original game on the PS2. So this is a PS3 game. Has bugs in it that weren't in the original. Has incomplete voice, the sound effects, and has a new voice acting pack in it, which is far worse than the original. And yeah, the Silent Hill 2 version in this, again, to be fair, to find at least something positive here, it is at least playable. I think the Silent Hill 2 version in this HD collection is playable. I recently played through it like 6 times because I was collecting trophies, because I'm like, why not? And the game is so good. Even in this mediocre form, the game is so freaking good. It's so good that even the bugs and the subpar graphical updates and all the things, there is a sign in this HD remake that or HD update. This is not a remake. This is just an HD remaster. There is a sign in this game that has Comic Sans as the font, which obviously is not in the original game. It's a complete clown show, this whole project. The version of Silent Hill 3 is much worse here. That's pretty much broken, almost unplayable at parts. But yeah, so Konami are a master of ruining their franchises, as you can see here with Silent Hill. They also did something similar with Metal Gear. They completely defiled Castlevania with the pachinko stuff, and I cannot stand Konami as a company because of what they do with their franchises. Now, when it comes to the Silent Hill 2 remake that Blooper Team are making, I'm not as worried about it as I am about some of the other projects. It was obvious, I told you earlier, there are 5 games, Silent Hill games, that have either been released or are going to be released. And 2 of them are already out. So the Silent Hill Short Message, the free-to-play game, which I haven't played, but it looks like garbage, with the PSA pop-ups and just nonsense. That was released and was very poorly received. Then they released the episodic interactive movie Silent Hill Ascension that I never even took a look at because it looked like garbage again, and was very poorly received, has microtransactions in it, and it's just no, please no. That was released, and now the third one is the Blooper Team remake, which I would assume is better than the two that I already mentioned. After the remake, they are going to release Silent Hill F, which is written by a very famous visual novel writer and is set in Japan. Looks pretty cool, actually. So I'm kind of intrigued by that. And then the fifth game, Silent Hill Townfall, they are making they are making with Annapurna Interactive. And who knows what's going to happen with that game now that Annapurna Interactive basically doesn't, like the game division of that doesn't exist anymore. Like all of the people resigned and left. So who knows what's going to happen with the fifth game. The remake, Silent Hill 2 remake, there is so much going on with it that screams that it's going to be a failure. But how much of that is Blooper Team's problem, that's impossible to say at this point. The voice acting in the trailers is okay. It's better than the HD collection voice acting, definitely. I especially like the voice acting of Eddie in the latest story trailer. Maria sounds pretty good as well. So the voice acting seems okay. It's very difficult to top the original voice acting because it's so unique. The characters are just perfectly balancing between like being completely amateurish and not knowing what they are doing and being perfect, which is very strange and impossible to replicate. All of the characters in the original game sound like they aren't even humans, really, fully. And it works so well. Some of the design changes for the Silent Hill 2 remake are really bad. The Angela one has been laughed at online for a very good reason. But then again, some of the designs are pretty good. Again, Eddie looks really good. Like he doesn't look good, but he looks perfect for what he is in the game, and so on. Some of the enemy designs look pretty good. There are a lot of people involved with this project who are original members of Team Silent, like Akira Yamaoka. He's again doing the music, so he's going to remake the music. I don't think some of the music in the trailer sounded that good, to be honest. So I'm not sure how good some of the remade music is going to be, but it's better than nothing. Like Akira Yamaoka is a legend. Masahiro Ito is involved with the design in some capacity. So there's a lot of here that there are very mixed signals. Some good, some bad, and who knows what's going to end up happening. But knowing Konami, they are going to mess this up somehow. The marketing they did mess up completely with the trailers. Like the original trailers for Silent Hill 2 remake were really bad. And you can go on YouTube and look at the other trailers that Konami has released for earlier titles that they've released. For example, Silent Hill Homecoming, which is I think 2009 or 2008 game. The trailer for that game is one of the worst pieces of shit I've ever seen. It is a complete mess of a trailer. It is insane how bad it is. I'm obviously not going to put it here on screen because I don't want to get copyright struck or anything. Also, I don't edit my videos, so this is what you're going to get. No cuts, no edits, just me rambling on. But yeah, go on YouTube and look at Silent Hill Homecoming, the original trailer, and tell me that isn't just a complete mess. It doesn't make any sense, the trailer. It looks like some lunatic, schizophrenic, just edited together random clips of just something. It's just a mess. So Konami have a history of messing up their marketing. They have a history of ruining their franchises. They have a history of pissing off fans. They have a history of just not working well with Western markets. I don't know about the Japanese marketing campaigns, but the Western marketing campaigns are so bad. I cannot understand who the people, like who they even hire to do these trailers, because it's really bad. But as some of the people working for Blooper Team have said, they are not in charge of the marketing. And a lot of people on YouTube are criticizing Blooper Team for the visuals in the trailers and the atmosphere in the trailers and the like voice acting beats and the voiceovers. They are criticizing Blooper Team for these things that they don't probably have that much to even do with. So they are just creating the game, and Konami's marketing team is the one who's responsible for these mistakes. But just to close my thoughts on the Silent Hill 2 remake, as I said, it's going to be released in October 8th to be specific, unless it's delayed, which I guess it would already have been announced if it was. So it's going to come very soon. I'm very interested in seeing what Blooper Team has done with the game. Now, to end the video, I'm going to talk a little bit about Blooper games, or Blooper Team and Blooper Team's games in particular. As you can see here, I have 4 of their games in a physical form. And I'll do like a mini review of all of these, because I think it's very unfair towards Bloober games how negative some of the discussion is around them and around their games, because I've quite enjoyed most of their games. So one of the reasons why I'm not that worried about the Silent Hill 2 remake is that Bloober Games has made a bunch of horror games before. They are very different from Silent Hill 2. They don't really have combat in them, but they do have a lot of experience making these, not necessarily AAA, but at least AA, like high quality, like these mid-tier games. So their first horror game was Layers of Fear. This is the Masterpiece Edition, which has the DLC. What is the DLC called? Inheritance. And this is their first proper horror game that they've made and released. Before this, they made like mobile games and some smaller titles for the PC and PS4. But this is their first main game, the first big game that they released. And for their first game, I think this is very, very like playable. And I think I gave this a 7 out of 10 when I played it years and years and years ago. So it's by no means a perfect horror game, but it has a lot going for it that I enjoy. It has quite good graphics, at least for the budget that they made this for. It looks pretty damn good. The setting in the manor is quite enjoyable. It has some pretty interesting story points in it. I'm not going to spoil anything about the story, but it deals a lot with paintings, and I think that's very well done. Horror games in general don't really usually have good stories behind them. Silent Hill 2 is a very notable exception, because that's one of the best stories ever written in video games. But yeah, Layers of Fear, it's all right. I quite like it. The DLC has some pretty good moments in it. Now, the reasons why people criticize this is because this is basically a walking simulator. So a lot of people dislike Blooper Team games because they are walking simulators, basically. Very little gameplay in them. You walk around and you look around and stuff happens around you, and sometimes it's spooky, sometimes it's silly. And, you just do that for a couple of hours and that's it. Now, I think it's unfair to criticize a game for being a walking simulator when it's obviously clear that it is a game like that. So it's not even a proper critique of a game to say that, oh, this is a walking simulator, it's bad. Well, okay, if you don't like walking simulators, then perhaps you shouldn't be playing Blooper Team's games, because they are obviously walking simulator style games and they have always been marketed as such. So I happen to like these sorts of games, so that's fine by me. Yeah, Layers of Fear. Then the one that I like the most by them is Observer. This has Rutger Hauer, the famous actor, in it as the main character. Gave his likeness, as you can see, and also voice acted the main character. The voice acting isn't that great, but it's Rutger Hauer, so I don't care. He's great. One of the all-time legends in genre movies, like sci-fi and horror movies and such. And I really like Observer a lot. It's a cyberpunk walking simulator with some crime scene investigation gameplay, and has just a fantastic atmosphere. The setting is really interesting. I think this is as a horror game. I think this is scarier than Layers of Fear. Layers of Fear doesn't really have that many like proper scares. This one has like the section with the. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a section with a farm animal hooked up to a VR set. That is one of the most upsetting images I've seen like ever in video games. And there are some moments in this that are truly, truly incredible. Lots of glitching and VR style visuals and this alternate reality bleeding into reality and what is even reality and this sort of thing. So very typical cyberpunk content in that sense. But yeah, I really like Observer a lot. I think it's by far their best game. But again, it's a very slow-paced walking simulator, so some people are just not going to get into it. Thirdly, they made the licensed Blair Witch game, which again, I like quite a lot. So, right, I said that I gave Layers of Fear 7. I'll give Observer a 9 out of 10. Blair Witch, I'll give an 8 out of 10. Maybe a 7 out of 10, kind of depends on the mood. Some of the gameplay in this game is not really good, like the stealth sections with the monsters walking around, I thought were really bad. There's also one section later on in the game where you're walking in this sort of canyon, and it just goes on and on and on. You just walk forward. It's pretty bad. But otherwise, I enjoyed this game a lot. Now, a lot of people have critiqued this game by saying that it's just boring. You're walking in the woods. And to those people, I would just say, like, have you watched Blair Witch? Because that's the movie. Both the original and this is a 2016, maybe, the reboot movie, which doesn't have any of the original people involved with the making of it, unfortunately. But yeah, the original movie, especially, it is a movie about people walking in the woods. And they are walking in the woods and they get lost. And then some spooky stuff happens during the night. And then there's a guy standing in a corner of a house and the movie ends. And that's the whole movie. Sorry to spoil it for you if you haven't watched it. It's a 25-year-old movie at this point. So, and I think this game is much more engaging to play than what the movies are to watch. That is clear. There's a lot of gameplay here, or more gameplay here than in the earlier Blooper Team games. With the you have the companion dog, for example, with you at all times. Very good AI for the dog. I like the dog a lot, and there's a lot of exploration in this game. A lot more exploration than in the earlier games that Blooper Team has made. Yeah, I wouldn't go lower than 6 out of 10 for this game, like ever. So I think all of Blooper Team's games are very competently made. They look good. They are relatively bug-free, and they're slow-paced games. And some people cannot handle it. But you know what? Silent Hill 2 is an extremely slow-paced game. So there's one reason why Blooper games could fit the development of Silent Hill 2 well. Like, they are very familiar with making these slower-paced, very atmospheric horror games that don't really have much happening in them. It's all about the atmosphere. Think about the first hour of Silent Hill 2, where you are just mainly walking around Silent Hill, not even knowing really what to do. And there's mist everywhere. You have a steel pipe or a lead pipe or whatever it is. And you're just walking there, and there are these weird monsters around, and you probably just run around them because it's not even worth fighting them. And yeah, that sounds exactly like what Blooper Team makes with their games, except for the combat. And now, medium. This is one of the reasons why people have started criticizing Blooper Team, because this game is kind of ham-fisted. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I think it's one of their weakest ones. Now, this is their only game that is in third person. So when it comes to Silent Hill 2, what the game is going to look like, how it's going to play, this is probably the closest comparison, unfortunately, because it is a third-person exploration game. Has some really cool, interesting ideas with the split worlds and controlling a character in like two spaces and 2 times at the same time with a split screen view. The writing is really bad. Like that, one of the reasons why I am concerned about Silent Hill 2 is that Blooper Team are not native English speakers, and it shows in their writing. And if they have native speakers doing like checking the writing, and that it's grammatical and there aren't that many mistakes in it, and giving them pointers for how to improve the writing and so on, those people aren't very competent because the game is written very badly. There are so many very just useless voice lines. The main character is constantly talking about just a waste of time, really, to listen to her talk. And she's constantly cursing, which is very childish and stupid, and very common of games from Eastern Europe. So it's not very... It is predictable in that sense. Eastern European people, when they write English, they use curse words a lot for some reason. And that shows here. But it just doesn't translate well to a native-speaking English audience. Or any other audience who have a proficiency in English. Yeah, the medium. It's an alright game. It's not that bad. Like Blooper Team has not made anything as bad as, let's say, these games. Like Silent Hill Downpour, I would never expect Blooper Team to make a game that's this bad. Let's just put it that way. And I am hopeful for the Silent Hill 2 remake. I am hopeful for it. But we'll see. Let's just put it like that to end the video. Yeah, so that's me rambling on about Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2 remake and Blooper Team for 30 minutes. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll be back with some more collecting videos. I'll do a probably an collection update video next, and then I'll start doing some Blu-rays. So look forward to that. Thanks for watching and listening, and see you in a couple of days again. Bye.